Hi, welcome to Platinum Pilates Home Videos. My name is Andrea Cousins, and I'm here to take you through the basic principles and to give you a little information about why you should think about Pilates and what it's all about. Pilates was started by Joseph Pilates in the early part of the 20th century. So he brought Pilates over from Germany to the US in the 1930s and 1940s. He rehabbed ballet dancers as well as other injured people in New York City. And the word about his type of workout and how different it was spread. And with that, we have the Pilates as it is today, which is really close to exactly what he did. He started with mat Pilates exercises. So we are going to go through the basic principles of mat Pilates and workouts through these videos. A little bit about myself. I am a business owner. I own a small Pilates studio in West Chester, Pennsylvania. I'm also a mom to a little girl, and she does Pilates with me now and again. I have been working with my clients one-on-one with my Pilates studio since 2013. It's my passion. I love working with people individually. I get to know them, they get to know me. I learn a lot about their bodies, and with that, they're asking me for homework, they're asking me for things to do when they don't see me in the studio. With that in mind, I would love to share this with anybody that wants to try Pilates. So we're gonna go through the correct method. You're gonna learn how to do it well, not just to do it. And talking about that, we're gonna get into a little bit about the 5 basic principles, and that's breathing, head placement, shoulder placement, rib cage placement, and pelvic placement. And there's going to be some terms in here that sound a little big or unusual that you're not used to, so I'll explain those to you as we go along. You'll hear them again in other videos. It'll become more familiar. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the breathing. You're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So as you breathe in through your nose, you're going to expand into the rib cage. So I'll have you go ahead and place your hands on your ribs. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just make sure you're not using your belly. I want you to breathe into the ribs. Again, take a deep breath in and out. One more time, deep breath in and exhale it out. And then that's how you're gonna breathe to do Pilates well. When you breathe into your belly, it's gonna be difficult to get into the abdominals there. So talking about head placement, as you're sitting on the floor, on your mat, or on the sofa, you wanna think about bringing your head back on top of your spine. We're often with our phones or when we're driving and you drop your head forward, that gets really heavy and it can hurt your neck. So I want you to think of bringing your head back on top of your spine. I'll go more into that as we get onto the mat. We're gonna move on to shoulders. So with the shoulders, you're gonna think about bringing your shoulders into what's called neutral. Neutral simply means it's the natural place for the joint, for the bone in the joint where it should be. Over years of poor habits and activities, your joints will move and shift and you might get rounded shoulders or even a rounded back. So we're gonna help you bring your shoulders into neutral. One of the ways to do that is if you take your arms straight out in front of you, have your palms face in, you're gonna have the shoulders just drop back and down, starting there. And then you glide the shoulders forward and bring them back. And glide them forward and bring them back. If you work from the shoulder here, it's gonna feel like you're just reaching forward, but watch you're not moving your torso. So it's just forward and back. And then we're gonna work on the other direction. You're gonna draw your shoulder blades back and bring them center, and back and bring them center, and one more time, bring them back and bring them center. So just moving the shoulders back and forward, you can feel how there's a lot of different ways the shoulders can move. The other directions are bringing your shoulders up towards your ears and bringing your shoulders down towards the hips. So just do a couple more of those. Up towards the ears and down towards the hips. One more, up and then back down. So finding where neutral is for your shoulders is you wanna avoid the forward, you wanna avoid the back, you wanna avoid the too far down and too far up. You want them just set in their sockets. About the rib cage, when you're seated with the rib cage, you want your rib cage over your pelvis. So if you're sitting either on your feet or on your bottom, if you go to sit on your sits bones, watch that you're not sitting rather here or even behind. You want your rib cage over your pelvis. When we lay down, that'll again feel a little bit different. For pelvic placement, when you're seated, you want to feel your sits bones. Just kind of rock back and forth on your sits bones, and that you're on your sits bones and not sitting back. It's just the bony parts in your bottom when you're seated. That's what we refer to as sits bones. So when you're up on top of the sits bones, that's where you're in neutral spine for the low back. So those are your 5 basic principles when you're seated. Really simple alignment idea. And when you get your alignment and your breathing and you put them together, that's where you get great posture, and that's where Pilates works best. And that's where you don't have to do 50 sit-ups to get a really good core. You do maybe 10 of this, 5 of that, the 100, things like exercises like that. And before you know it, you have a great core. You feel better, you can breathe better, and you feel taller outside doing all your different things in life. Your clothes fit better too. So I'd like to go into the mat portion of the warm-up here, and we'll go into laying down. So starting with your feet on your mat, parallel, sits bones apart. Again, just not super wide when you're talking about sits bones, so I'll say that a lot. And you'll have the feet flat, and you'll go and you'll lay down, and you'll have your head on your mat. You're going to go into what I call a Pilates basic position. Your feet are gonna go sits bones apart. So you're gonna work, think about lining up with your hip bones. That might be a little easier. And knees bent. You're gonna lay on your back, just nothing under your head on your mat. And then we're gonna talk about head placement on the mat. We're gonna do what's called a head nod. A head nod is essential to most of the mat work we're gonna do. It's to keep your neck from getting too strained. So look straight up towards the ceiling and then stretch your neck. It's gonna look like my chin is lowering down, and that's true, but I'm thinking more about the back of my neck. So straight up ahead and then stretching the back of my neck, drawing my chin down. That is a head nod. When I do that little itty bitty stretch before I lift my head, when I go to lift up, I'm not gonna strain my neck. So if I do that exercise, what I just did without my head nod, it's gonna look like this. And it's really, really hurting your neck. And you're not getting into your core as deeply as you could. So head nod, then you will lift up. We're gonna talk about your shoulders again. So with shoulders, start by taking your arms straight up towards the ceiling, have your palms face in, and have your fingers lengthened. Take a second and feel the collarbone right here just go soft, and you're gonna protract the shoulders. Protraction simply means you're gonna go up and then back down. Keep that going. You're gonna inhale up, exhale, back down. My scapula is moving. Scapula is just a fancy term for shoulder blade. You're gonna inhale and exhale. So understanding where your shoulders are for this workout is going to make a big difference. And stop at neutral. We're gonna retract. Retract, it feels like you're drawing your shoulder blades towards the spine, and return. So if it feels funny because your shoulders are going under your back and kind of lifting your rib cage, you're doing it right. So you're gonna do that again. You're gonna retract and neutral. If you add in the breath, it's inhale and exhale. One more, inhale and exhale. Good. So we talked a little bit about elevation and depression. If you let your arms rest at your sides and you bring your shoulders up, that's your elevation. If you reach your fingertips towards your heels, that's depression. So do a few more. You're gonna inhale, elevate, exhale, depress. One more time, inhale and depress. We're gonna take the arms back up, feel the collarbone go soft, and you're gonna have the shoulders just touch the mat. We're gonna scissor your arms. When you scissor your arms, you're gonna think about that shoulder movement, but you're also gonna think about your ribs gently drawing in and together. So thinking of just a gentle rib cage engagement. You're going to one arm by the hip, one arm by the cheekbone, quick breath in, and if your back arm touches the floor, that's not correct because that means my shoulder is now elevated. So you wanna keep your arms so that the shoulder stays connected in neutral. So do a few more. And try and keep that rib cage in place. Last one. And I just spoke about rib cage. I'm going to have you think about the back of your ribs. So go ahead and just have some fingers under the back of the ribs and exhale into the mat. That feeling is connecting the muscles in between your ribs as well as some oblique muscles here, because we're going to circle the arms. And when you circle your arms, you don't want your ribs popping up off the mat. So with the arms circling, you're going to slide your shoulder blades down as your arms go back. You're going to circle the arms around to the hips. You're going to inhale and exhale. So yeah, we're trying to mobilize your shoulder, but we're also trying to keep your shoulder protected so that you're not going to induce any kind of tears or give any problems to a shoulder that might have been frozen in the past. One more. And we're going to reverse the circles. So inhale by the hips, flip the palms up, and then slide the shoulders down your back. This one can be tricky. So this part here, try not to let the arms just go along the floor. You want them floating above the floor. Pull the shoulders down as you circle. One more. There. And we're going to talk about your pelvis. So neutral spine has to do with your pelvic placement. To find neutral spine, you're going to create a triangle. So have your thumbs together, have your fingertips together there. That's important. Place this triangle on your pelvis. Have it on your hip bones, have it on your pubic bone, and here it should be level. Level means you have neutral spine. If you have it where your fingertips are higher, so say you've got your fingertips above your heel of your hands, that's not neutral, and you need to bring your pelvis to a different position. It's a tilt. If you're the other way, so say you're tilted away, you want to bring it in to level. And I know you're probably thinking, okay, I have it level, I think I'm level. If you're not sure, get a mirror. So get like a full-length mirror. You can put it on the side of you here, and you can use your gaze in the mirror as if I was right there, and you can put your hands there and see that you're level. And always use bony structure. So you're thinking of hip bones, you're thinking of pubic bone. If you've got extra stuff going on there, don't worry about it. You want to think hip area and bony structure. For the next position, we're going to talk about what's called an imprint. So with an imprint, it is changing the angle of your pelvis. This changes the angle of the pelvis. It engages deep in the core, so you can bring your legs up with support. Your legs only go up when they're imprint. Your legs only go up when you have your imprint. So neutral spine means you have maybe some space under your back. I have a little bit of space under the back when some pelvises won't have that. But here, to get to an imprint, regardless of how your neutral spine is for you, I want you to think about placing a marble right in the middle of your triangle. Keep your triangle there. Place an imaginary marble right there. And then I'm going to have you take a breath in. You're going to exhale and roll the marble towards your thumbs. That pelvic tilt is your imprint. That pelvic tilt is we're using your abdominals and your pelvic floor. We're not using your glutes. So return to neutral, and then you're going to do it again. So you're going to exhale, rolling the marble, return. That simple pelvic tilt is going to get you stronger in your low belly. So if that's something that works for you, do several of them a day and you'll get stronger in your lower abs. So that position of that tilt, that tiny little movement, is your imprint. I will use that term a lot in subsequent videos. Return to neutral spine. I'm going to work through a couple of exercises that helps you understand that imprint. One of them is your hip rolls. So bring your heels closer to your bottom and keep them parallel and sits bones apart. You can rest your arms at your sides. If you rest with your palms up, it's going to help open the shoulders. We're going to start with a neutral spine. Take a breath in. Then you're going to exhale, imprint, squeeze your sits bones, which are the glutes, press into your feet and lift your hips up. You're going to stay here, take a breath in. Then you're going to roll down. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Return to neutral spine. Pause. Then you're going to imprint again. imprint, raise the hips, squeeze the glutes up at the top. Take a breath in. And then roll it back down. This is very different from a yoga bridge. I don't want you to think yoga bridge. So if you're, go ahead and imprint, squeeze the glutes, lift your hips up and stay there. Watch your ribs. So you want to think about the ribs staying connected here. If you're pushing as high as you can just to feel like you're going higher, you're going to feel that you're up on your neck and your ribs are popped. So feel that the weight's on the shoulders and that your ribs are connected here. You're going to get a better glute connection and hamstring connection as well, and you're not going to hurt your neck. So think about that as you roll up with the hips and roll back down. So let's do one more. Take a breath in. You're going to exhale, imprint, squeeze your glutes, keep your ribs connected, and stay at the top. Breathe in, and then you're going to roll back down, vertebrae by vertebrae in the spine. Go back to neutral. Bring your feet a little bit away from you, and we're going to keep neutral again, but we're going to think about it in a different way. So we're going to move on to what's called a hip opener. Hip opener is going to start with neutral spine. You're going to take a couple of fingertips onto your opposite hip, so your left hip, rest the right arm. You're going to start with an inhale, open the hip, slide your foot along your mat, rotate your leg back to parallel, back to normal, and draw the heel back in. So it's open, slide, rotate, return. Adding the breath, it's inhale, slide, rotate, exhale, return. Do one more. Slide, rotate, return. Switching out. So we'll have your right hand hold on to that hip bone, rest your left arm. You're going to open consciously, slide the leg out. Try and keep that right hip as still as you can. That's going to give you more stability. You have to consciously open, rotate, and return. So you're working the hip, slide, rotate. One more. Open, slide, rotate, and bring that back in. So we're going to move on to an ab prep. An ab prep is going to help you with more advanced exercises. You're going to start laying on your back, neutral spine, so you can check that with that triangle. Feet parallel, sits bones apart, and your knees are bent. Have your arms resting at your sides. We're going to start with that head nod. So it's an inhale, head nod. Exhale, you're going to lift up. Stay here, breathe in. Exhale, return. So before you lift your head, you're going to stretch. Exhale it up. Eyes on thighs, breathe in. Exhale, return. When you go to lift up, I want you to think of those ribs. Ribs are drawing down. Stay here, breathe in. Exhale, return. And that's where breathing into the ribs really makes a difference. So it's a head nod. Exhale. Breathe into the ribs. Then return. If that's bothering your neck, take your hands behind your head, have your elbows up, shoulders down, and do the same thing. So you head nod, exhale up, breathe in, exhale, return. Just know that's always an option. Stay here, breathe in, exhale, and return. We're going to go into an oblique prep, so you will place your hands behind your head. Have your elbows up in peripheral vision, and you're going to start with an inhale and a head nod. You're going to exhale up and across. Other elbow is on the ground. Inhale, back down. Other side. Inhale. We're going to keep alternating. Think about your rib to opposite hip. So it's up and over, and return, and return. Do a couple more sets. Nothing changes in your pelvis, so it should remain neutral. One more set, and return. Last one, and return. All right, the next segment, we're going to end up on our stomach. You're going to need a little towel. So if you have a towel nearby to roll up, it could be a washcloth, it could be a hand towel. Go ahead and grab it and come back. We're going to talk about your thoracic spine. We're going to learn how to extend your spine properly, and you need to know what I'm talking about to even get going. So you've got your cervical spine, which is your neck, just below your neck, but before you get into your low back is your thoracic spine. So your thoracic spine is quite large. It can tend to be a little bit tight and flat. So we're going to learn how to extend your spine. When you're seated, extending your spine is a little bit like lifting your rib cage. It's more than that though. You're gonna end up using abdominals as well as using some back muscles in a good way. But we're gonna teach you how to use your abdominals to support the stretch and the lift. Just make sure that when you do this, you are thinking about all the little pieces I give you, the shoulders, the navel, and if glutes are involved. We're gonna get into the prep though. So I'm gonna have you get your towel, you're gonna fold it up, we're gonna put it under your forehead, and we're gonna get on your stomach. So we're gonna get into this position. You're gonna take your towel and put it under your head. You wanna have it support your head so it doesn't feel like you're smashing your face into the mat. Elbows are gonna bend, resting down either on the mat or on the carpet. From there, your legs are sits bones apart. You're going to keep your navel in. So that means if I had my hand here, you're going to pull your abs in towards your spine. Then I'm going to start with a breaststroke prep 1. You're going to inhale, pull the shoulders down your back away from your ears. Keep your navel in. You're going to exhale and lengthen your spine. That's a lift and a lengthen of the spine. Take a breath in. Then you're going to return and lower it back down. Just watch that the back of your neck doesn't get all crunched up. So it's an inhale, shoulders down, navel in. Exhale, you're going to elongate your spine here. Breathe in and return. We're going to do a couple more. Inhale, shoulders down. Exhale, you're going to lengthen. Imagine there's you're being pulled by the top of your head long away from the body. And then return. We're going to do one more. Inhale, shoulders down the back, navel in, exhale, and you're going to reach out through the crown of your head. Breathe in and exhale and return. The second exercise is breaststroke prep number 2. Take your arms alongside your body. And this one is crucial to keep your legs down. So your legs are relaxed. You're going to start with an inhale, bring your shoulders back, float the arms, reach your fingers towards your toes. Belly button to spine, you're going to exhale and lengthen the spine, keeping those legs down. Take a breath in and then return. Again, so inhale, arms, navel in, exhale. Feel the abs lift you up off the mat. Take a breath in and return. We have one more here. Inhale, arms, and exhale, legs are down, and return. You're going to finish by sitting back, pressing back into a shell stretch. Sitting back on the heels, rounding the spine. Every time you do spinal extension, you want to do some spinal flexion. It helps balance out the discs, the fluid in your discs. So that concludes the intro video. If you're ever unsure of some of the terms I've used in the videos, come back to this video. It's a great resource. If you have a friend that's been doing Pilates and you think maybe she needs a refresher, or if you know anybody that could benefit from this video, please share it with them. And check me out on Facebook, Platinum Pilates, and you can check me out on YouTube as well. Thanks.